My mother's hug is awkward, as if the space between her open arms is reserved for a child, not this body of a man. In the kitchen, she kneads the dough, flipping it and patting before laying in again. The flour makes her over, dusting the hairs on her cheek, smoothing out wrinkles. Hello and welcome back to Litcast. In this episode, we're going to be looking at Coming Home by Owen Sheers. So, Coming Home was written in 2015 by Owen Sheers, and it explores the poignant reality of ageing parents and the shifting dynamics of family life. This poem really captures the speaker's return to his childhood home, and he observes here the physical decline of his parents due to age and reflects on the enduring yet changing nature of love. So let's have a look at some of the big ideas here. So we have the inevitability of aging. The central focus is the fact that life is transient. Life doesn't last forever. And the speaker notices the small, concrete signs of his parents getting older. The way they move, the way they handle physical tasks, which highlights that time is an ultimately unstoppable force. There's also the weight of memory. So returning home is presented as almost this re-entry into a specific history. The house and its rituals, just like preparing a meal, they kind of act as a vessel, an opportunity to collect memory. And it grounds the speaker's identity in his lineage, in all of those memories of all the meals prepared before in that house. The fact that they're happening in the same way brings that back to him. The poem also suggests that familial love is often expressed not through these big, grand, romantic declarations, but through domestic ritual. So cooking together and sharing wine is shown here as the quiet way that this family maintains its bond despite the passage of time. There is, however, this subtle role reversal that begins to take place. The speaker, who was once the child being cared for, is now the observer of his parents' vulnerability. And that really makes a difference here. It shows that change in relationship and shows that transition towards adulthood and eventual caretaking, where the child ultimately takes care of the parents in their old age. And then again, thinking about those binary oppositions, so those contrasts, we've got here continuity versus change. So while the physical bodies of the parents are changing, and you could consider that their biological clock ticking, the emotional connection and the sense of belonging remain constant, which offers a form of stability in this changing world. So, a little bit of context. Owen Sheers often writes about his Welsh identity and his personal relationships. This poem is highly confessional and draws directly from his own experiences of returning to the Welsh countryside to visit his family. It appeared in his collection Sguryd Hill, and the title Sguryd comes from the Welsh word ysgrid, meaning separation or divorce, which reflects the collection's themes of fragmentation and the breaking of ties, in this case, the breaking of youth. And the poem is steeped in a sense of Welsh domesticity. The focus on the land, the weather and the hearth kind of reflect a traditional European sense of home as a place of refuge and history. So other contrasts that we could consider, or themes that we could consider in here, are kind of the journey home. So it's a literal travel back to a place, and also a metaphorical journey back to his roots and the realisation of his place within the cycle of life and within his parents' life. He also uses domestic imagery, the smell of cooking, the taste of wine, the sound of his father's heavy step, to make this abstract concept of home really feel tangible, and so we can really imagine it from a multi-sensory point of view. And we've got this idea of physical decay versus emotional strength, which we briefly talked about before. So the contrast between the brittleness of his parents' bodies and the strength, ultimately, of their family unit. So that's just a few notes and big ideas around the poem Coming Home by Owen Sheers. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And be sure to check out the other ones where we cover the other poems in the Unit 1 WJC GCSE Anthology. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. listening to Litcast, the podcast for GCSE and A-level revision. The music that you hear in this episode is called Galaxy and was written by Ixon, and you can find the rest of his music on SoundCloud. If you found the podcast helpful and would like to support us further, then the Ko-fi link in the description will give you an opportunity to tip us. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.